Welcome back to the Garena Premier League Spring Season 2018. My name is Volkan, with me is Chisto. Your shoutcasters entering possibly the last game of the Best of 5 series for the battle for third between Mineski and Sovereign.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, this might be the last game for the battle for third place today because Mineski were able to pick up wins in the first two games. The first game looked very dominant, the next game a bit too shaky. But looking for this third game, let's do hope that Sovereign do have some more in the gas tank and maybe they can fight back here and possibly mount a comeback and start a reverse sweep. Who knows?
Let's get straight to it. This is our Game 3 of the Best of 5 series, the battle for third here at the Garena Premier League Spring Season. Once again, for Sovereign, I think at this point, they need to bring out their guns. So for Sovereign, we'll start things off here. They will be playing on the blue side. We're moving Gary's Ezreal and the Tom Kench from TG.
Yeah, no change in strategy here. Now, one thing that I sort of criticized Sovereign for during their previous game is they didn't opt to ban away the Zac from Jun. They haven't selected to ban it out here yet. They do have the luxury of first pick, meaning that Suo could possibly pick up the Zac now. The Caitlyn will be the denial pick here from Mineski. Worked out incredibly well for Gary during that first game. Now, after those first two games, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mineski just immediately lock in the Zac here on their first rotation of picks.
It will be the Braum because we all know that Caitlyn is paired up well with the Braum, so they will deny that. Seeing how the Tom Kench is being denied so far, I guess for Sovereign, they need to think, how can they try and counter Mineski's approach here, because we're seeing the Kazakhs being hovered between the lots of available picks here, but at this point, we'll secure the jungler.
That's interesting here because the Zac worked out very, very well for Mineski during the first two matches, but it looks like they are going to change up their strategy here. Sejuani and Braum, though, is a very good combo as far as crowd control goes. You can chain all of those stuns for so long. You could practically perma CC anyone that both of these champions could get in range of.
And as for Sovereign, they will lock in the Talia. It will be the Trundle in the top lane. So for Kaigo, who is very used to playing the Ornn, which won't be a very favorable matchup against the Trundle, depending how he plays. But looks like for Mineski will lock in the Azir, still hovering, and will be a lock-in.
I don't want to chalk the Trundle as going to the top lane yet. Vulcan could still be flexed into both the jungle and support role. It just depends on where Sovereign decide to go with this, but for sure the Caitlyn and Talia are going to mid and bot. Looking at the second batting phase, Sovereign has not selected their support yet, so I'm not surprised that Mineski are throwing bans towards that role. As for Mineski, they're yet to lock an AD carry, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Sovereign pinch that role even more as we see a Xayah ban come out. So Gary, I think his champion pool will be tested for this match.
Let's see, Mineski, last ban coming in. Could be another support ban. The Alistar is still open here. We all know that when it comes to supports and Sovereign's playstyle, they love to go all in. Let's see what Mineski will ban out. And I can see right now the Thresh has been still removed, Tom Kench, and it will be the Alistar ban.
Yeah, of course, pretty standard support bans here, denying Kra that playmaking potential that both Alistar and Thresh do provide now. Will Sovereign go the route of pinching Gary's champion pool even more?
A support, rather a respect ban towards Cross Thresh. So this is actually amazing because we know that Kra is really great with this Thresh. We're moving the Alistar 2 and the Kokma. 4 AD carry bans here. Note that I do remember Gary playing the Kalista one time, but it will be one of the hyper carries here. It will be the Jinx or the Jhin.
Jhin wouldn't be so bad here actually. Jhin does have a lot of follow-up to the initial engage that Mineski already have. Tristana is also good.
Tristana and the Braum combo.
He's gonna settle for the Jinx. So the hyper carry down in the bot lane for Gary, since 480 carry bans were invested from Sovereign's side, it will mean that we get to see Jinx on the Rift, and like I mentioned, Vulcan, we don't have to chalk the Trundle up yet to the top lane as Fiora locked in for Shinsekai.
This will be a Fiora in the top lane and Trundle will go to the jungle.
Yeah, I wonder though, they are still lacking their support pick. Unless they want to go the route of having a Trundle support, okay, it will be the Janna. So double ranged in the bot lane, having a Janna on their team means that they can mitigate at least some of the engage that Mineski's lineup do provide. It is a Blitzcrank hover, but I really don't think it will be locked in.
I think when it comes to the Janna to the Braum matchup, the Braum still has the upper hand here because we all know that the Glacial Fissure is in range to deny the Monsoon, but let's leave it for Mineski. No surprise there, it would be the Ornn being locked in for Kaigu. This is why I was wondering, maybe the Trundle will be picked towards the Ornn, but looks like Sovereign will be sticking towards the Trundle jungle and for the Fiora in the top lane.
Yeah, and I like the Trundle pickup here by Sovereign. It will deny some of the tankiness that both the Ornn and the Sejuani can provide for Mineski's lineup. So having that easier shred means that both Mexi and Arikelik will deal more damage onto the front line of Mineski.
Yes, so far, I guess for Mineski, will stick through the Sejuani and the Ornn pick here. No surprise that EXO will be picking one of his favorite champions, the Azir, against the Talia. At this point, it's the battle for priority in the mid lane. Let's see it all unfold on the Rift. This is going to be match point. Sovereign needs to do something here if they want to push this further down the path and force the game 4.
Yeah, Azir's probably one of EXO's most played champions, but as we load onto the Rift, you're gonna get to see the strategies that both teams have decided to run here. As for Mineski, it's more of a 5v5 lineup, whereas Sovereign, they've decided to go for more of a split push route, especially with the Fiora here. If Shinsekai can't get rolling on this Fiora, Mineski, they're gonna have a hard time trying to deal with a split pushing top laner.
So this will be the locked in here for the summary of our player cards. We'll be loading into the Rift to Game 3. Let's see. Can Sovereign mount a comeback for the Singapore squad? Or will Mineski secure the 3rd place for the Philippines?
Now, we just have to wait and see as we load onto Earth. But like I mentioned, Mineski, it's a full-on 5v5 team fighting comp here. Their laning dominance wouldn't be as prevalent as the previous game. As for Sovereign, the game for them is going to be heavily reliant towards split pushing, taking down towers. Their champions are so proficient in that 4v4 while the Fiora is split up. So I think the key here for Sovereign is avoid fighting the 5-man group of Mineski and try to separate them.
Well, that is an Azir being picked up on the Mineski side, so it's only wise to not try and force the team fight, knowing that there is an Azir. So for Sovereign, this is their game plan. Let's see, will that be their win condition as we load onto the Rift? Sovereign on the blue side versus Mineski on the red side. This is Game 3.
Yeah, of course, this is match point, Vulcan, so might be the last game for today before we head onto the finals later today. So I think the key here for Sovereign is they really need to get their lanes ahead, try and get them rolling. So I think it will be up to Suo on this jungle Trundle to try and help the rest of his team get ahead, especially this Fiora.
It will be a bit difficult because we are seeing that as for the Trundle, has to wait for the level 3, but if you want to cheese it, go for the Frozen Domain Rush, so level 2 is still fine. But it all comes down to the CC that the laners can bring. As far I can see, maybe they may eye the mid lane first because we know that Azir at the early phases can be abused.
And for Sovereign here, I think it's really going to be a key for them to try and avoid fights because looking at the amount of crowd control, I really don't see them escaping if Mineski do find a catch.
At least they have the Janna for the disengage if ever any members of the Sovereign squad. They do get caught by Mineski, but I think it's more on them having great range to at least zone out the members of Mineski. But we have to respect that there is the Forge God coming from Kaigu and the Glacial Fissure.
Yeah, and one thing that baffles me here is Mineski didn't opt to go for the Zac again. It wasn't picked or banned by either team, and Zac has really been one of the key focal points on why they won the first 2 games. I'm really questioning why they opted to go for Sejuani, but it seems like the strategy here is to go for that more teamfight oriented lineup instead of trying to go for more lane pressure in the early game.
As far we can see in the map here, both junglers going for opposite direction. Looks like the Trundle may eye for the top or the mid, but looks like when we talk about the mid lane and to run right now to the bot lane, we gotta wait for those level 6 spikes. The silence will be important for the Talia, and we all know that EXO does have a difficulty influencing the silence. Already we're seeing movements in the riverside, bot lane side too. And Sovereign will mirror this movement as Kaigu is prone to a gang and the top lane flashes away from the Trundle.
I like the placement of the pillar there.
Sejuani in the bot lane now, continuing the gang for Sovereign. It looks like Mineski will go to upper hand and take away that first blood.
Yeah, it looks like the bot lane of Sovereign weren't respecting the fact that Jun could have went for a gank there. And with your Trundle, with your own jungler hovering towards the top side of the map, it means that there will be no backup if Mineski decide to go for a play. So Sovereign looks like Crow will get punished for that. And now Suo just invaded the red buff of Mineski, seeing that Jun did go towards the bot side.
In a way, this is going to hinder Jun. So Juani seeing that for Jun, he cannot take away the red buff, seeing the Trundle has taken it away. So as for the jungle CS, it'll be 14 to 12, with the red buff being taken away by the Trundle.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that Suo decided to move towards the top side of the map early. Because we keep discussing that Fiora needs to get ahead. She needs to become a legitimate split push threat, because looking at Mineski's draft here, there's really nobody that can 1v1 the Fiora when it comes to the later parts of the game, especially if she does get advantages. And given that Kaigo was already burned his flash, she will use the dash to get away.
Close call there. He would have been CC locked there by the stun. Otherwise, the parry will connect. But for Sovereign, looks like from a rocky start with first blood taken away by Mineski. They're trying their best here. Ice Pillar was there for the slow. Shifting stance in. Flash in by the Trundle. The shove will not connect as we see 3 members of Sovereign trying to pressure the mid lane of Mineski.
Yeah, Suo really wanted to take the flash away there from Exos, and flashing so aggressively forward on this Trundle. So now Exosen does not have his flash, needs to play a bit more carefully. As top lane, Kaigo has to avoid getting his vitals procced here.
It'll be very difficult because at this point we are seeing Kaigo getting the Sapphire. May go for the Glacial Shroud rush against the Fiora, but we'll see as we progress throughout the game. We'll see more proactiveness from Kaigo's itemization, but now looks like the focus is onto the red side of Sovereign. No wards being placed here. This is pitch black. They will expect a 3-man gank here.
Oh, Suo's recalling. There's no backup here
And
coming for Sovereign.
And as for Summoner's spells, the flash is available for the Caitlyn, but has been caught off here. They're focused on to the Janna, giving the kill to Gary.
Yeah, that's one way to get your jigs ahead, Vulcan. And they were so patient, sneaking around the vision that Sovereign had not. They only had that ward down by the river, but mid lane.
Exo close call there. Shove does connect and almost in strike zone there. Exo will use the heal.
Yeah, but looking back, that was a great setup by both TG and Jun. They pathed all the way throughout the jungle of Sovereign just to avoid the vision. And I think both Mexi and Kara were just a bit too far pushed up, especially since the Janna still has no flash. We mentioned that if the Braum and the Sejuani are able to get in range of you, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get away just because of the stuns that they can chain onto your champion.
That's the power of the Sejuani and Braum combo. The double lockdown, the permafrost plus the concussive blows with the Winter Spite engage would be more than enough as we see an Ice Pillar being placed in the mid lane. Overextending here, Suo is very aggressive, trying to do something here in the mid lane, but in the end gets caught by Mineski's 2-man squad. Looks like for Jun, he is eyeing the movements of this Trundle.
Yeah, I like that Jun was hovering towards the mid lane. He knew that Exosen did burn his flash. That means that it was inviting the Trundle to go back in. But top lane,
that's very difficult here. Kaigo gets out dueled by this Fiora. In the end, the Brittle does work against Kaigo. Calls in the Forge God, trying to clear the wave here.
yeah, before we get to see that action turn out, though, it looks like there has been a bit of a pause in the game. I wonder what that will be. Probably some technical issues. Quite unlucky. But yeah, going back, I like how Jun was towards the mid lane area because he knew EXO had no flash, and Suo could have easily helped Arikeli pick up a kill and punish the Azir. So I like that he is defending for his mid laner. It's a really good read on the game.
As for the clash in the top lane, the skirmish, I wonder what will happen to Kaigo because we're seeing some technical difficulties on the side for the teams here. So let's see what will happen as we go back to the game before we solve this issue. But by far, the game so far is progressing. Great adaptation coming from Sovereign because at this point, I'm pretty excited to see what can Sovereign do to try and deny the clean 3-0 from Mineski, giving hope to the Singapore.
Yeah, so far, Vulcan, regardless of Mineski not picking up the Zac, they still have been able to apply the same pressure they did towards the bot side of the map in the earlier games. And as for Sovereign, I really think that they need to begin playing around this Fiora because that looks like a very clear win condition for them. They really need to get Shinsekai in a position where he's a threat to Mineski and he can just apply pressure with a split push.
Okay. And so far, we are still waiting things up here while the players are waiting for the difficulties to be resolved. But as for the point for Sovereign at being at match point, this will get to you because this is their first run in the GPL. Not much experience for the new team members. Not all of them are new, of course, but at least when this is their first run as a new team, they need to work out their difficulties.
Yeah, and maybe pauses like this, it could help the players reset.
Pauses like this it's actually unfortunate for the players here, but as we fix this up here, let's hope that Sovereign can try and mount a comeback here because as for Sovereign, they have what it takes to try and establish more pressure, especially in the top lane. We discussed before about the matchup with the Fiora and the Trundle being split pushing champions.
Yeah, of course, the Trundle has been hovering around the top side a lot. He's really been trying to get Shinsekai ahead so that he becomes a threat. Though we haven't seen him go back and try and really get the Fiora even more further ahead by going for an aggressive dive. Because looking at the damage that Shinsekai can already dish out here, they definitely can go for a dive onto Kaigu's Ornn because he isn't that tanky yet this early.
And he did pick up the glacial shot, so the key point here is, I think, for Sovereign, they're really trying to mount the Fiora to scale well into the late game. Because when it comes to the Trundle and the Fiora, they will be huge threats, split pushing the lanes strong. But for MSK, they do rely on team fights because they do have the Azir being picked up by EXO. But Sovereign, they don't want to go in for team fights. They want to go for fights where they have the advantage, especially first pushing.
Yeah, MSK, they really want to move past this laning phase and move towards those points of the game where they can group up and move around the map because that's where their composition shines. If you draft a team that works better in a 5v5 scenario, you wouldn't have the best time during the laning phase, and so far it is showing. But some of the pressure has been mitigated given that Jun has put so much attention towards the bot side of the map. He's really trying to relieve the pressure that both Mexi and Kra are dealing towards the bot lane because they're still constantly pushing towards that area.
Let's see, as far as we can see for Sovereign's mid laner, the Talia has reached level 6, but right now EXO is doing a lot of work here, pushing in the lanes.
EXO will try and constantly shove in Arikelic so that the Talia can't roam as much. Of course, the Weavers will definitely a threat here.
We're waiting here, but I think for Sovereign, they're trying their best to pressure it, signaling Arkellic maybe going for the steal here. This is huge. The blue buff getting steal buff from the mid lane, so this will hinder EXO's sustain in the lane. As they head on to the Ocean Drake, Sovereign does not see any vision being established. Mineski will be blind here, so I think for Sovereign, will take away the Ocean Drake uncontested.
I think Mineski, in a sense, know that since Arikelic isn't in lane, maybe he went for a roam. But I think Mineski read that maybe Sovereign would go for a dive instead of moving towards the Ocean Drake.
We did see Chun from the Fog of War. Prism will connect onto the Janna. This is locked down into the mid lane here, and the bot lane will go down. That will be the last hit by TG.
They can still go for this, but I don't think they have enough mana on Jun to go back. But another kill onto the Janna. That's all of the kills that Mineski has as top lane. I don't think Shinsekai would want to go all in unless he can proc this fight.
I was waiting for, let's see, maybe the Talia would go in to assist the bot lane, but in the end, too focused in the mid lane because of EXO's pressure, and in the end, not getting the blue buff. What a step up from Sovereign here, taking away the resources.
Yeah, they have been stealing away quite a lot from Mineski, and they also were able to take away the first Ocean Drake of the game. But Kra has gone down for all of Mineski's kills. He needs to start playing a bit more respectfully here because he has been getting caught out quite a lot.
They're eyeing the top lane, going in hard to Kaigo. He does break the pillar with his charge. Vital Spot has been shown here with a grand challenge. That will be the Forge God being used to zone things out here. Talia goes in here onto Kaigo. He cannot escape here. He used his E. He does dodge the shove, but in the end, 3 members of the Sovereign squad will take down Kaigo.
Yeah, that's an easy dive by Sovereign. They even used to subjugate to add more tankiness for the Trundle, and I don't think Kaigo should have stuck around. The moment he saw the Trundle, EXO should have reported that the mid laner was missing. He should have respected the fact that Weaver's Wall could easily go up there and respond in the top lane. So this is what I mentioned, Sovereign. They need to get this Fiora ahead. They need to make her a split pushing threat so that Mineski begins to separate.
They're working towards that goal slowly, but as for Mineski, they have one thing here. Gary on his Jinx, a hyper carry marksman, so let's see. Mineski, very powerful team fight comp, but for Sovereign, will try and deny that, but going for the lanes.
Yeah, now Sovereign, I want to see them go back and make that same top lane play again. Really try and bully Kaigo. He's, regardless of him picking up the Ninja Tabi and Glacial Shroud, if you pair that with Trundle's Subjugate, there's really no way that he could survive versus that two-man dive coming from both the Trundle and the Fiora as Jun. The priorities for both of these junglers are very different, it seems, for this game, Vulcan, because he has been hovering towards the bot side of the map a lot. He will be spotted out by that ward though, so Sovereign, they know he's here. They need to respect the dive coming in.
But despite knowing that they're here, MSK will not stop here because we know that the Sejuani and the Braum are a very powerful engage tool that MSK can use for a successful dive. But Sovereign, seeing this, respect this approach, will just back off.
Yeah, and that's good that they decided not to take that fight as Kaigo, I think.
Vital Spell being procced here by the Fiora. At this point, we are not seeing any pickup here from the Bramble Vest side, but we're seeing a cloth armor being picked up by Kaigo. But at least he did pick up the Tabi.
Yeah, I think Kaigo has to back off a bit and not expose the vitals for the Fiora to proc. And the Kleptomancy as well, being run here by Shinsekai, means that gold generation will definitely be on this Fiora side, trying to accelerate the game by getting more items.
Look at the map here. We're seeing movements from June on the red side of Sovereign's jungle. Looks like TG going in hot. May settle for a kill here, but in the end, we'll focus for the first turret. We see Trundle going in hard. Looks like the Johnny can do something here with the Howling Gale just to zone out TG. Looks like they denied the first turret for now, but we are still seeing June waiting in the brush.
Yeah, I think TG didn't sell that well enough. The moment the Braum was walking forward so aggressively under tower, Sovereign had to know that something was up, and rightly so. June was in this bot lane. Now, I think MSK, they want to brute force this tower down. That's why Sovereign is sending their jungler to try and defend this.
They can do this because at this point, EXO is pressuring this Talia in the mid lane, so he cannot respond to the 3-man aggression coming from MSK. But for EXO, looks like Talia is still being spotted here. They will not expect any silent pressure with the Weaver's Wall coming from the mid lane, Arcalic.
Yeah, Sovereign are really trying to hold on to their bot lane tower for as long as they can. They don't want to...
Forge got used here to try and clear out the wave here. At this point, it's a matter of fact for Kaigo to just buy time, to just deny that split pushing threat and buy time so that MSK can take away the first turret.
Yeah, looking at what MSK are trying to do here, Vulcan, it seems like they're really trying to take that bot lane tower so that Gary and TG can begin moving around the map and grouping up with the rest of their team. There's already a lot of chip damage on the tower, so a few more pushes can possibly take it down soon.
Because of the chip damage that we saw in the bot lane, and we can see how Shinsekai is accelerating his push, trying to go for that first blood turret, but looks like for Kaigo, he did pick up the Bramble Vest at a CS deficit. They do not know that in the brush, something is waiting here. Trundle with the Ice Pillar, there's the slow, but cannot really do much here. Shifting Sands plus the Divide. Oh, did not connect. If that did connect, that would have been a setup for EXO.
Yeah, EXO, he tried to make the play there because his jungler was ready for the counter engage, but Arcalic, with the reactions, was able to flash away.
Great reaction coming from Arcalic.
Yeah, and the blue buff being handed over to Exos, and here things have kind of slowed down here, especially for Suo. He isn't applying the same pressure that we saw him do earlier. And it's incredibly difficult for both the Trundle and Talia to lock down the Azir, as he does have some mobility in his kit. The question here though, Vulcan, is when will we see Suo go for the top lane play again? Earlier we saw them send 3 members there, and with everyone from MSK collapsing bot lane, it looks like the simple play to make, just send other members towards the other side of the map, because you know MSK cannot respond towards his top side.
And they're really focusing on to the mid lane. Actually gets slowed here, shifting stands away. Teleport coming in from the support, or rather the Kaigo is here with TG alongside with the Forge God. This sets up a kill for Kaigo.
Yeah, Sovereign putting so much more focus towards the mid lane, did not respect the roam coming from both TG and
Let's
TG
get transition
and Kaigo.
towards the Infernal Drake right after removing Arcalic from that teleport play by MSK. They eye the Infernal, and I don't think Sovereign can contest this Drake.
Yeah, now both Gary and TG have been unlocked from the laning phase. The Jinx and the Braum can now begin moving around the map, and once they are grouped up, it's where MSK's lineup shines. Now the key here for Sovereign, we need to start avoiding fights from happening.
Popped here. Oh god, overextending here, being now Ganked upon by the Jinx and the Braum. Cannot escape with the trap in place. That is Gary getting an easy kill onto Mexi. Not just that, even baiting the teleport from Shinsekai, forced to cancel that out.
Yeah, it seems that the bot lane of Sovereign isn't having the best time for this game. They've combined for 0, 4, and 0. That's 4 of Mineski's 5 kills. So that's an incredibly difficult position to be in because normally you'd want your bot lane to go at least even or have pressure so that Shinsekai can split push on this Fiora, but unfortunately he can't do that because his bot lane lost lane this heavily.
Quite heavily indeed, because we're seeing a CS lead of 30 and the side for Gary. But whatever Sovereign, they still have a chance here. They have to rely on Shinsekai's push. May still the red buff, and he does! What a steal coming from Sovereign. Catches Jun off guard. How many buffs did Jun lose in this game?
Probably 2 or 3. I do think 2 blue buffs at least were stolen away, but it really hasn't hindered him from applying pressure towards the bot side of the map. I mean, we haven't even seen Jun go for a gank towards another lane. So usually it's just, oh, I gank bot lane, I'll protect my mid lane because he's under threat of this Trundle.
Instead of going for counters for Jun, he would just stick towards farm route and also to try and help the pressure. But at this point, MSK cannot afford to give any more resources, especially the Herald. Shoved in, TG. Pops the unbreakable. The prison does not connect to any members, so it did connect, but the cleanse was used. Looks like Fortune being out position here. Arctic assaults away, but for Mineski will try and clean up this fight with the Azir and the Jinx. Mineski wipes out the Riverside.
Wait, this is an incredibly spread out fight. I wonder if Shinsekai was actually able to get anyone. He did pick off TG in that fight, but Gary was left alone to free hit. Now Shinsekai, he has a bit of mana to work with, but I do think this will just end in a long chase. Probably not that long.
With that clean up there in the red side, Mineski will take away a lot of resources, especially denying that Herald, but in the end, it was a bit too late there because it will be the Herald falling to the hands to Suo.
Yeah, Mineski tried to stop Sovereign from taking that Rift Herald, but given that Sovereign haven't been able to push any lanes yet here, it's going to be incredibly difficult to use the Rift Herald in the most optimal manner. Mineski are really starting to get the stranglehold in this game as we see a fight mid lane.
Sundays has been propped here in the mid lane. They have to force a dive towards Mineski, trying to back away here. They get caught off by the Weaver's Wall, but Jun is there for a rescue. What a save coming from Jun Sejuani to deny the engage coming from Arkelic.
Man, Arkelic, I like the idea. He was trying to cut off the escape path of Mineski, but unfortunately he does so with his life. Kind of a bit of a suicide from the mid laner of Sovereign. You're not having the best time in this game.
Can kill score here. Go lean in the favor of Mineski.
I mean, plays like that, Vulcan, you'd normally want to do them when you're ahead, but when you're behind in a situation like that, Mineski can immediately turn it around on you. And going back, let's look at the replay of this Rift Herald. It did go over to Sovereign. And look at Gary in this fight. The moment he arrives here, there's basically nothing they could do towards the Jinx because there's no threat on him. Even though Shinsekai was towards the back line, he wasn't threatening anyone of the key targets from Mineski. He was focusing the tanks, and unless the Fiora can actually get towards the back line, she doesn't provide that much value in a full-on 5v5 where Mineski's draft really shines.
That's very true. As for Mineski, trying to deny the eye of the Herald, but in the end did not succeed, but at least they were able to get a lot of kills from that clash. Kaigo left alone here in the bot lane. I don't think he can escape here. Forced to give a kill to Shinsekai. This further gives Sovereign a chance here as they pop the Herald in the bot lane. Mineski, they are trying to race this and match the push coming from the bot lane with their own in the top lane.
Yeah, look at the opposite side of the map here. Even though this will go down definitely, Gary, he's a Jinx. His attack speed ramps up pretty quickly. I think Mineski will be able to trade this tower. It is a tier 2 tower in the top lane just for the first outer turret. Oh, actually the second outer turret being taken by Sovereign in the bot lane.
The second inner turret for Mineski gets taken down here, and as for the outer turret of Sovereign, that'll be their second. So I don't think they'll stop there. They're still pushing in the bot lane's outer bot lane turret, inner bot lane turret.
Yeah, now the map has been spread out, Vulcan. This is really where you're gonna ask, can the Fiora apply the pressure by split pushing, and can Sovereign avoid the fights from happening? Mineski, this is the time when they want to fight so that the Fiora doesn't apply as much pressure. They can't let Shinsekai push the waves first and then force them into trying to separate to deal with the Fiora. Because I really don't think Kaigo can stay in an extended fight versus Shinsekai.
I don't think he needs to go for a fight. He can just go for the clear. He's on an Orn to try and deny the waves pushing into his turrets. So
Yeah, but Shinsekai can just kill him.
for Sovereign, they will try their best to match the power from Mineski's side as the Baron is live right now. The Inferno will be live in 18 seconds. Sovereign, they don't have any vision here. Mineski making the necessary preparations so that when the Inferno does spawn, they may go for it. But Sovereign, they have other plans.
Wait, I don't think Sovereign want to take a fight here. They were just baiting
Burns
the
the
teleport.
teleport, but Kaigo calls in the Forge God to try and scout out the members of Mineski. Looks like it's clear, it's clean for Sovereign to escape here, and Mineski pushes them back towards their jungle, trying to cut off things here with the Ice Pillar here. They just want to back off.
Yeah, Mineski, they want to reset vision around the Baron area. There is an Infernal Drake that has just spawned, and I think Mineski will be able to take this for free, as I really don't see Sovereign challenging this objective. Yeah, Gary just gonna solo that. Pretty easy for a Fed Jinx. 4-0 and 3. Already 3 items at 21 minutes. This Jinx will be such a pain to deal with if you're Sovereign.
3 items locked in with the Infinity Edge. The cannon and the Shiv is all completed here. So, for Sovereign, as for the Caitlyn, has yet to complete the Infinity Edge. 2 items behind Mineski's ADC. I wonder how Gary and especially for Mexi, how would Mexi try and match the damage coming from Jinx?
I mean, Caitlyn is a great 3 to 4 item AD carry if you already have what Gary has in his inventory, but at 2 items, Caitlyn really doesn't show that much power, especially in team fights. I think Sovereign just really have to try and turtle and try and stall out, because they are in a position where they are behind. It's kind of difficult for them to start looking for fights now.
As so far, when they're not looking for fights here, we can see already Shinsekai just pushing out the bot lane.
Yeah,
Not so much happening here, but for Sovereign, they know that a lot of things is happening in the side for Mineski because the Baron is live and they're being denied vision.
Yeah, and if a Baron fight does happen here, one advantage that Sovereign do have is Shinsekai does have his teleport. Though I wouldn't say that the Fiora teleporting into a team fight would have that much value compared to the Ornn, but at least Shinsekai can get there faster compared to Kaigo.
You have to be careful. We're seeing Shinsekai pushing in the bot lane with the 3D Force. This will not be... what's this? Oh, TG got caught by the shove.
Now, one thing I would like to see Mineski do here is start off the Baron, try and bait the teleport out of Shinsekai, and then once they see the teleport channeling, cancel the Baron, and then just reset. So that now Kaigo's teleport comes off of cooldown first, and then they can go back to setting up around the Baron. That would mean it will be such an easier take for them.
There we go. And for Sovereign, I think they realize this. Trying to do something here. Challenge as we pop. Trying to go for the heal with the Vile Spot. But the Bramble is doing so much work here, forcing out the flash from Kaigo. We respond for the call up there, and I think that's a shutdown to Gary. This is huge, as Mineski is going straight for the Baron, and for Sovereign will try and match this out, but for June will secure the Baron. Mineski cannot go for a fight here. Immediately back away, causing the shutdown goal to go to Sovereign, and not just that, they will lose one of their turrets.
Oh no, I think what Mineski were trying to do there is they're gonna leave Gary in the mid lane so that Sovereign will think that maybe they're not on the Baron because their AD carry is showing on the map, but Mineski still has a Zero. They do secure the Baron in the end, but Sovereign are able to take away turrets, and now the turret score has even up his mid lane.
Great divide coming from Exo to immediately push back the Fiora, but the Fiora will not burn the flash. In a way, Mineski used that as a disengage to try and have some more breathing room as Sovereign. They're trying to use their comp to just push in the lanes, but will be very difficult because Mineski has the Baron buff.
I think the saving grace here for Sovereign will be Shinsekai on this Fiora. The question is how Mineski decides to deal with this pretty annoying champion in the side lanes, because looking at their lineup, there's really no one that can challenge the Fiora in a 1v1 duel. Mineski has to invest at least more than one member to try and shut him down. Now the question is, can Mineski make use of this Baron to break open the base of Sovereign? Because if they do take an inhibitor here, it will mean that there is one less lane to worry about. They are 4 men strong in the mid lane. Kaigo can't join this yet because he's dealing with Shinsekai split pushing.
He's trying to trying to defend himself. Oh, what's this? Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we're seeing a clash happening here. Domain has been used, but for Mineski, they're focused on the tower.
Yeah, they will take it down in the end.
Now, but they're still trying to size things up here. They'll just back up because we're seeing that for Shinsekai was trying his best to push in the bot lane, but could not match the empowered minions and the clear from the Ornn.
Yeah, and Sovereign so far have been defending fairly well here. Even though Mineski have been constantly barreling down towards the mid lane, the side lanes for Sovereign have always been pushing in their favor. It's really hindered Mineski from breaking open the base here and trying to push forward. The Fiora just doing so much work here for Sovereign, helping them stall this game out.
I mean, 25 minutes into the game, Sovereign trying their best to stall out this game so that they cannot let Mineski have a powerful team comp. They don't want to group up and go for a 5v5. They'll just simply put Shinsekai in the bot lane, keep pressuring the lane so that we will have at least something to trade for, like we saw in the mid lane.
Yeah, the scary thing here though is if Jun is able to gland this glacial prison onto anyone from Sovereign.
Kaigo is pushing in the bot lane rather strong, but Kaigo is there to defend it, and now Mineski, they're pressuring the mid lane. 4 members strong here. So this will be a 4v4 fight. TG blocks some damage here, but we're still seeing that Kaigo and the Fiora Shinsekai is still going in at the top bot lane.
Yeah, TG also actually blocked the Weaver's Wall from Talia with his Unbreakable. The thought there was Arikelik was trying to use the Weaver's Wall
there
to stop the push, stop the minions from coming in, but now Mineski looks like they will break open the base of Sovereign.
Oh, look at the crit damage coming from Gary. Immediately destroys Craw. Players that connects onto... Oh, this is disaster for Sovereign because they were left vulnerable, and that was the engage from Mineski to go in strong. But this could be the Caitlyn popping off here. Maybe not. The Talia trying the best to get some poke damage onto the members of Mineski. But this will be Mineski taking out 2 members. The inhibitor and the inhibitor turret has been destroyed in the mid lane.
Yeah, Mineski, they decide to pull the trigger there, and there's really no escape for that Trundle. Without the front line, there's no way that the backline champions of Sovereign can defend because there's no Trundle to tank the damage for them. And if they do step forward, both Exos and Gary will just shred them. But I think Sovereign are lucky that they only lost 1 inhibitor from that Baron that Mineski did secure.
This is difficult because we're seeing 2 Infernal Drakes and a sad for Sovereign. They cannot match the power, the raw power that the Azir and Jinx has in a team fight. That's why they're not committing to it. They're trying to put Shinsekai in the bot lane. But for Kaigo, trying his best to match that aggression.
Yeah, and I think at this point, it's really showing that since Jun decided to put so much attention towards the bot side of the map, Gary is so far ahead on this Jinx. He's an entire item up compared to Mexi's Caitlyn. He already has the Bloodthirster trying to go for more sustain and survivability in team fights to come. So it really shows you that the way that Mineski decided to play around their bot lane, it has panned out in a very positive manner for them.
Especially the fact that we're seeing Gary getting the Bloodthirster. So you know that Mineski will go for a very long extended fight. And now we're seeing Jun lurking in the bot lane, trying to catch this Fiora off guard. I think at this point, 4 members being invested by Mineski is wise. They want to remove the split pushing threat. They want to remove Shinsekai. Gary takes the kill.
Yeah, since Kaigo can't deal with him 1v1, why not just send 4 members? And that's one way you could deal with
and
a
now
split
for
pusher.
Sovereign, they may return the favor towards their own top laner. Kaigo trying to back away here. Gets stopped by Ice Pill, and the Forge God is there for the disengage slow. And the members of Mineski going in hot to the bot lane, where Sovereign invested 4 members in the top lane. They cannot respond to the push coming to the Mineskis in the bot lane. They are forced to give the inner bot lane, possibly the inhibitor. There's the Weaver's Wall to stop their approach. Ooh, TG with that Unbreakable to deny the closure, but Kaigo is still pushing in the top lane.
Oh, that's a great interaction right there, and kind of feels bad, man. I mean, you like the thought they're trying to delay the push from happening, but just the Unbreakable from TG denies that stall potential coming from Sovereign.
Oh, gotta respect the Caitlyn's damage at this point. Has the Infinity Hedge and the Static Shift, but Mineski, they don't care. They're going straight for it, but in the end, thankfully, they were able to flash out this Braum, forcing out a flash. Overstepping though. I mean, you step on a trap, you're immediately getting crit.
Yeah, Braum can be the one to step on them and uses Unbreakable to tank some of the damage. Or Jun.
Oh, look at the zone coming from this Caitlyn. Mexi trying his best to establish the traps. Will not let MSK float into the bot lane, but meanwhile, ooh, the Mega Rocket did not connect to the Caitlyn, so looks like the Jinx will float into the base. President's there, connecting towards the Talia, and not rather the Janna, and immediately gets crit down. MSK flooding to the base.
Yeah, with that, I think Mineski will be able to take their second inhibitor of the game. They didn't even need to kill Mexi to stop that. All they needed to do was to chunk out the Caitlyn, one of the primary sources of wave clear on the side of Sovereign. Now I think Mineski, they want to end the game.
And as for Shinsekai, trying his best to push in the top lane. Mineski, they will challenge his push as they go onto the base. Right now we're seeing the members of Mineski low on health. Sovereign is trying to counter this up, trying to go for the exit kills here. Here comes Shinsekai with the teleport. Suntes has been propped here. Mineski, 4 members are very low, getting stuck there. Arcalic takes down Exo. Kaigo with a forge gun, trying to get away. Ooh, gets stopped by the Ice Speller. Reavers will coming in hot. Arcalic going for the exit kills, gets that sweet double, making a triple. Will this be a triple? Yes, it is for Arcalic. The Baron is live. This will signal Sovereign for a comeback.
Oh my god, Mineski, they tried to go for the end of the game, but Sovereign, they said no. They were able to pick up 4 kills. Only the Braum is alive. Unless TG can pull off something like a miracle here, this Baron will definitely go over to Sovereign.
Baron is low, and I don't think for Mineski.
If TG steals this,
TG can try and steal it. He does have the, rather he does not have the smite. I thought he had it because he has the unsealed spellbook. Maybe TG was going for the Q, Frostbite steal, but will not happen. Now, this is dangerous for Mineski. This is the home for Sovereign. They can try and go for a push here because at this point, the Fiora is the one with the Baron buff. This will pressure Mineski even more.
Oh my, might this be the turning point of this game, Vulcan? Sovereign have been on the back foot throughout this match, but after that successful base defense, Mineski, they just stuck around for too long and they did not respect the fact that Sovereign could run them down and hunt them down. It looks like Sovereign, they're still not out of this.
32 minutes into this game, the next Drake, the Ocean Drake, will be live in 1 minute and 20 seconds. Sovereign in the bot lane with this Fiora can really push out the lane quickly so that Mineski will be forced to invest at least 3 members there. Looks like Mineski are the ones being pushed in now by this Fiora.
Yeah, and one thing that Sovereign can do here, since one inhibitor is still down on their side, I don't think they can actually push out any turrets yet from the side of Mineski. But with this Baron, they can stall out the game and make it last quite a bit longer, and maybe this will give them the window that they need if they want to scale even more. Because looking at their champions, at this point, I do believe Mexi will deal quite a bit of damage compared to earlier. Caitlyn has hit some of her power spikes here, and Shinsekai on this sphere already has a Death's Dance completed. Just gonna be incredibly harder to kill him as Mineski. They seem to be trying to set up the final push of the game.
Eyeing for that Weaver's Wall. Here it comes. Cuts of 3 members. And the bot lane is being pushed by this Fiora. The Kaigo cannot clear this way because there's a Baron and Pirate Minions flooding in there. But it will be a solo kill under the tower. Shinsekai overcommits. And now Mineski knows this. They have the numbers advantage. Kaigo has the teleport. Sovereign now forced to fight 4v5 here in the mid lane.
Well, it's actually big for Mineski that Kaigo was able to survive that 1v1 versus Shinsekai. That means that he can teleport through this fight, and for the next 35 seconds, it will be a 4v5 on the map. But EXO, he has to be careful here.
They have to be very cautious of this Caitlyn's trap. If they got caught here, they can just poke them down slowly and go for a hard engage with the Trundle. They're eyeing TG. Pops the Solari, survives the damage. The Ice Pillar is there for the slow. Kaigo is now rejoining the fight here, walking towards the mid lane, but they will just eye the Ocean.
Yeah, Sovereign, they successfully pushed Mineski back once again, and I think they've done a good job of holding so far. And even though Mineski's lineup is super strong in a 5v5 scenario, there were only 4 members there. Kaigo really wasn't in the area to help assist them yet. The Ocean Drake did go over to Mineski as a sort of consolation prize, but Sovereign, they're so far holding their ground here. The gold lead is slowly starting to be less relevant as the game goes on.
But when it comes to the Jinx scaling as the hyper carry, Minaski really needs to rely on the hard engages to try and deny the zone, the distance that Sovereign is establishing, so that Minaski cannot get the jump on them. So Sovereign at this point, they are the ones controlling how Minaski can die because they have the Janna, they have the Caitlyn with the traps. This is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think the key here for Sovereign is one of their squishy members can't get caught by the engage that Mineski can toss out at them. They need to let Shinsekai get to a position where they're pressuring Mineski with split push so that it forces Mineski to separate. Mineski can't necessarily brute force down the mid lane because there's a lot of wave clear coming from Sovereign's side.
This challenge, Sovereign will take head on because Minaski, they are now pushing in the mid lane.
Yeah, and one thing that's really nice here for Mexi, he's already picked up that QSS, meaning that he can cleanse out of any crowd control that comes his way.
Looks like the Sovereign built like a trap
Here we go.
line here. They'll bypass the trap line over that wall. They'll engage hard over that wall. And Minaski immediately flooding into the base here. JJ takes that Suo. But looks like the Caitlyn will be the next target. One more hit there. Close call for the Caitlyn. Meanwhile, Shinsekai pushing in the bot lane. Forced to teleport there to defend the waves.
He's teleporting now. He's going to try and assist the rest of his teammate, but he's going to be... Oh, he actually canceled.
Cancels the teleport. Now there's a teleport happening to Kaigo. Take down this turret. It's a guaranteed inhibitor. It will not channel through. Shinsekai pushes the turret, destroys it in time, and now we'll get the prize. The bot lane inhibitor.
That's a big win for Sovereign. They're successfully hold off, and now it's a question of can they stop the backs?
Oh, Exo could not recall. This is a deny. And for Shinsekai, maybe he can eye for the mid lane, but the waves are not pushing in his favor.
Okay. He almost found Gary there, and I don't think he wants to start a fight with this extremely fed Jinx. I think he has to get out here. But man, the fact that Sovereign were able to take an inhibitor away, regardless of the pressure being applied to them by Mineski, that's a massive mental win for Sovereign. Now, looking at things that might be up for grabs here, Baron is up in the next minute and a half. I do believe that both inhibitors will still be down on the side of Sovereign once this spawns. So they need to set up the waves. They need to have them at least pushing towards Mineski by the time that the Baron does get on the map, because that is what Mineski needs if they want to end this game.
They would try to use the Baron perhaps because it will be live in 1 minute and 8 seconds.
Now the question, the setup. Mineski can't fumble at this point. They've worked so hard to get a lead during the early game, but looking at the gold, it's really not that far off now.
This is quite troublesome for Minaski because this Fiora is fully confident in this bot lane.
Yeah, now Kaigu has to deal with Shinsekai because this is what Sovereign has to do. They need to use their winning member, the Fiora, to just force Mineski to separate, because Mineski's comp is strongest when it's a full 5 members, not when it's just a 4-man squad. They need Kaigu's Call of the Forge God to get towards the back line of Sovereign, because Janna is just disengaging majority of these fights from happening.
And there's the trap line so that Mineski cannot just go for a clean engage here, but they went for the flank in the blue side of Sovereign's jungle. They're eyeing this Caitlyn. The ice pillar is there for that slow and the terrain for that disengage. They have removed the Janna, but in the... Oh my god! Looks like Shinsekai is doing it here because Sovereign may just take down the Nexus here, but oh, what a shame! What a shame for Shinsekai, forced to get taken down by the turrets. Now Minaski is eyeing this. 2 members have been removed. Only 3 members remain for Sovereign. They will take the prize. They will take away the Baron buff.
Yeah, Shinsekai, if he survived there, I think he would have opted to take down the game from Mineski. But man, if Krad didn't get picked off, I don't think Mineski could have instantly gone for that Baron, because the members of Sovereign wouldn't be afraid to step a bit more forward because they have the protection from the Janna. But the way this game has turned out, man, if somebody slips at this point, the game could just end in a blink of an eye.
40 minutes closing into the game. The next Drake, it will be the Elder. Minaski has 4 stacks on the Drakes here, whereas Sovereign only has 1, which is the Ocean Drake, and 5 towers, turrets on their scoreboard, while Minaski has 8. At this point, Shinsekai's effort in the bot lane has been rewarded with more pressure in the bot lane. They have managed to take down the inhibitor, but when it spawns, this will be more work for Shinsekai.
Yeah, and you know how we can tell that we're full on to the late game, Vulcan? Gary just sold his boots for more damage. He's now picked up a Runon's Hurricane on top of all of his damage items, so this Jinx will just be bringing the massive amounts of damage to these fights.
Okay.
And now I guess Mineski are going to wait for the Elder Drake to spawn soon. It will be a massive buff to their team. There's already 2 Infernal Drakes to their side. It is up in 20 seconds, and I don't think Sovereign can challenge this.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Shinsekai pushing in the top lane. Oh, what's this? They are setting things up in the Elder.
That Elder Drake will go down extremely quickly the moment that it
Same
spawns.
with the tower here because we're seeing Fiora running this Trinity Force. Okay, here it comes. The Elder has spawned. Sovereign not making any movements here. They're just trying to scan out the area for Mineski, and they have to be very careful. Shoves in. Shoves, and oh, what a block from TG with the Unbreakable. Now, this is crucial. If they fumble in the Drake, they could lose the game. Elder goes to Mineski. They might start a fight here, but they will quickly disengage. Fiora, oh, Kaigo is gone from the fight. Baron empowered recall here pushes through Gary. One member has successfully recalled as TG will block the remaining Weaver's wall.
Yeah, that's a great win for Mineski that they were able to secure the Elder Drake. That was a practical 50-50. Suwo could have easily smited that away, but Jun, doing his job as a jungler, secures it. Now Mineski, they have the Baron buff. They have the Elder buff. Can they end the game? Because Sovereign, they've been holding on for dear life for the past 10 to 15 minutes. They've done a great job of stalling this game out this long, considering how far ahead Mineski were earlier in this game.
The fact that they have the Elder and the Baron, this is actually good news for Sovereign because for Mineski, I think they can do something here.
They can definitely go for something here. They have a super buff team at the moment, Vulcan. Sovereign, they're definitely scared of what's coming to them because Mineski are super fair right now. It's a 6-item Jinx, all full-on damage items. The moment that Gary gets to hit someone from Sovereign, they just need to back off.
As for, yeah, he did sell the boots, so he does have the static shift and the rapid fire cannon, still offering some movement speeds here. But for Sovereign, now, all the effort. Shinsekai is still eyeing the bot lane, trying to split push the waves here. But for Mineski, has the Elder Drake and the Baron buff. They can do something here.
Yeah, both inhibitors are already up for Mineski, so that's one positive for them. It will help them push a bit easier here, have a bit of breathing room, knowing that Shinsekai isn't pressuring them that much yet.
Ice Pillar, a trap line. We'll step on one here. Oh, gets immediately punished there.
Mineski do know that Shinsekai can easily 1v1 Kaigu, so it's going to be an incredibly difficult position for them to be in here.
Is this wise? Because we only seen a test for Sovereign. They will challenge Mineski's approach here with the Elder Drake buff. Meanwhile, the base is being pushed in. Kaigu cannot 1v1 this Fiora. What will Mineski do? But Sovereign will try and end it here. Cuts their escape. But there's the SVR for the zone. They overstep. Prison connects. And this will be Mineski pushing in. And Gary gets the shot down. Mineski going in for the fight here. But look at the base. Kaigu buying time with the Ord. Oh, the parries there with the Grand Challenge heal. What is going to happen? Sovereign stop laner. Shinsekai pushing in the next turrets here. Mineski racing in their own.
It's Shinsekai versus Mineski, but with a Fed Jinx, I think Mineski will be able to win this game.
Oh, the race is on here, but for Mineski has successfully taken down the last Nexus turret. Shinsekai has lost the race. Great attempt from Sovereign.
Oh my god, Sovereign, they held on for so long, but in the end, Harry Kelly just stepped a bit too far forward. It allowed Mineski that window to engage. And with the Talia off the map, there was nobody else to help the Caitlyn clear the rest of the waves. And that means Mineski will be securing the 3rd spot here for the 2018 GPL 3-0, sweeping the Singaporean representative Sovereign.
Looks like we have our 3rd place. Congratulations to Mineski from the Philippines for taking away the 3rd spot. And as for Sovereign, going for the 4th spot here. Well played by Sovereign to try and buy a lot of time, especially Shinsekai. You saw how the players were really praising Shinsekai there, especially the fact he tried his best to win the game. But unfortunately, great run for both teams here as we conclude the battle for 3rd.
Oh my god. that game, man. It could have gone either way in the end, but I think Shinsekai really tried to help his team hold on for as long as they could, but just that one tiny error down in the mid lane by Arcalic stepping forward meant that MSK were able to find the fight that they needed to close it out.
And as we head on to the short break, we will come back for the highlight of the final day of the GPL. Who will represent Southeast Asia in the upcoming MSI? We'll find out after the short break and onto the schedule. KLH, Kuala Lumpur Hunters versus Ascension Gaming later. My name is Volga, with me was Chisto. See you there.